Max Schaaf giving a very good demonstration so far, and the grandstands here at the Newport Yachting Centre are full to bursting. Oh, he's lost his board. He's lost his board. There's a little bit of time left on the clock, just 45 seconds the total, but he's decided that he hasn't got time to put in any more tricks, and he'll call it a day there. This was Schaaf in action in slow-mo, going for a 180 and then stalling the board on top of the coping before dropping in again and using the entire width of the vert or the half pipe. Judges will like that. He goes into second, 80.67 his score. Big round of applause now for 24-year-old Brian Howard from Augusta, Georgia. Away he goes, 45 seconds, drops in and immediately starts using the whole of the ramp. Huge height there from Brian Howard. He's flying here tonight. Grabbing the board, the judges will be looking at that a lot as well, looking for variation in tricks, looking for the riders to use the whole width and length of the pipe. Grind's important as well. That's when he slides along the coping at the top of each side. Technical stuff may not be as spectacular, but it scores really well. Very fluid routine from Brian Howard. Oh, he's gone though. He's off his board as well. And at the end of the competition, those who stay on the board for the entire 45 seconds will do better than those that come off. It was a good 40 seconds this time from Brian Howard. The last 5 seconds he spent on his behind. Good grind there though as he slid with the backside of the board along the coping. Unbelievable control. He goes second despite the tumble. 82.33 is good enough to hold a second. Tony Hawk's the man. Let's catch up with him. His name is Tony Hawk. He flies like a hawk. We'll be checking out his run a little later. Tony Hawk, very much the standard setter in the sport, has been for years. But first, we'll take a look at Andy McDonald, the 22-year-old from Boston, Massachusetts. Drops in and immediately starts his routine. McDonald flying high. Great control, great variation in the stunts, and such a huge height achieved on all the big jumps at the side. Went for the front side stiffy there. A stiffy is when the legs are fully extended straight. 360, beautifully executed. Oh, and a flip with the board. Fine variation from McDonald, and he needs consistency. 3 runs is what it's all about. And despite Tony Hawk being the big favorite, it's the likes of Andy McDonald, the youngster from Boston, who pose the biggest threat to the Hawk. Fine routine and very well received for Andy McDonald. Tony Hawk appreciating that effort from the man from Massachusetts. This was the front side stiffy, leg straight. Holds it well, comes down and immediately goes for this trick, which is called a Japan Air. One leg straight out, turns the board, and off he goes again. Andy McDonald goes into the lead, 86.33. Excellent stuff from McDonald. That board and that helmet belong to Mike Frazier, 23-year-old from LaPorte, Indiana. Now rides out of Tampa Bay, Florida. 5th last year, and he's got huge elevation on his jumps and great variety in his tricks, and you see the height he gets each time he attacks the far side of the ramp. Oh, and a good grind there. You could hear the noise it makes. I guess that's why it's called a grind, because it's metal on metal. The trucks of the board skidding along the coping at the top of either side of the ramp. Oh, he did well to recover. Thought for a split second there that he might lose control of his board, but he held it together and he stays in the pipe. Great 180s. Huge extension there. The crowd getting right behind Mike Frazier. Still chasing the score for Andy McDonald, 86-33. And Frazier will be very close to that, if not ahead of it. Doesn't matter about that. The 45 seconds was up. And Mike Frazier looks reasonably satisfied with that. Let's have a look at the slow-mo of this. Going for the stiffy. And then coming up the other side, a great 360. Wonderful control, the way he turned the board with his hand. And how about that? Unbelievable stuff from Mike Frazier. Could challenge the lead. Score coming in now. Frazier goes second, 85-67. Not quite good enough, but not far away. Now here's the man they've all come to see, Tony Hawk, the reigning champion. And last night, he did a switch stance 540, a trick that had never before been pulled off in competition. Hawk did it the night before. That was in the preliminaries, and the reigning champion drops in from the highest point of the ramp, 13 foot 9 inches up, and begins his routine. And he's flying high already. He lives up to his name. He's called Tony Hawk, and he reaches Hawk-like heights with these jumps. And listen to the crowd, they love him. Oh, wonderful control off the rear wheels, resting the truck on the escalator side of the ramp. But Hawk has got his work cut out now because Andy McDonald was so consistent throughout the 45-second routine. A little mistake from Hawk, but he recovered. I thought again he was going to lose the board, but he kept hold of it. Very seldom this man falls off. He has been the leading light in world skateboarding for several years. He sets the standards that the others try and emulate. The buzzer's gone. He can't stop. He loves it that much. A great performance from Tony Hawk. Crowd saluting that effort, and they know that there'll be more and better stuff to come from him in the next 2 rounds of riding. Almost seemed to stall in midair, defying all the laws of gravity. And the camera angle showing quite beautifully what Tony Hawk was achieving. Here's his score coming in. He's tied for second. Andy McDonald, for the moment, holds onto the lead. That's a bit of a surprise. That stunned the crowd a little, but there it is in black and white. McDonald from Frazier and Hawk tied together. Ben Pappas and Brian Howard giving a good account of himself down in 5th. Stay right where you are. There's more to come. Welcome back. You're watching Eurosport. You're watching skateboarding on the vert at the X Games in Newport, Rhode Island. We move to the second round in the final, and it's time for the riders to crank it up another notch. The leader after the first round is Andy McDonald, and he'll be first to go now in the second of the 3 rounds. Remember, they discard their lowest score and take the average of their top 2 scores. McDonald drops in and begins his run. McDonald has one fault that the judges will criticize in their marking. It's that the fact that he doesn't really use the whole of the ramp. You'll see the likes of Tony Hawk and Tas Pappas coming up, who use the entire width of the ramp. Great 360 there from McDonald. If he can produce tricks like that consistently, then it doesn't really matter what he does, but he can't afford to fall. That will hurt him right in the middle of the routine, and McDonald likely to lose his control over this competition. Remember, he led after round 1. Oh, good height though, he's come back. Great recovery from an otherwise disastrous moment in the routine, and the buzzer has gone. The 45 seconds is up. McDonald looks certain to be toppled from the top though. This was the 540. Wow. All the way round and then half a turn again. 360 plus 180. I've got maths O level, you know. And there's McDonald. He goes second, he drops down. The way the scoring works means that we know immediately that he's dropped down. Tas Pappas, we saw his brother earlier, Ben, who held the lead momentarily. Here's Tas now. Had a bad start, only finished in 10th after the first round, but that was a surprise and he's capable of much more than that. And look at the height he's achieving. Superb 540 from Tas, followed by an excellent technical grind on the other side. Looking to push his way up from 10th position, and if he continues like this for the entire 45 seconds, he'll do just that. Tas Pappas, also from Melbourne, Australia, residing in California, and he's only 19 years of age. Oh, what a brilliant trick from Pappas. That will help his marks enormously. I couldn't tell you for a second what it was, but we'll have a look hopefully in the slow-mo. Pappas on fire in his second round, and certain to progress through the rankings now, and the crowd absolutely thrilled by that. So relaxed, Pappas. Grabbed the board, put it through a complete 360, and still had time to read the paper while he was up there. And how about this one? I won't even attempt to explain it. It all happened too quickly, even in slow motion. He's jumped 5 places, up to 5th now. Pappas still in with a fighting chance. Next up, it's Tony Hawk. And there he is. He's introduced. The crowd know him. Of all the skateboarders in the US, this man is the best known. And he's been leading the sport since its renaissance in the late 80s. What a start. He's flying high, drops in from the highest point of over 13 feet. Hawk is on breathtaking form. Pivots the center of the board over the high point of the coping at the top of the ramp, holds it there. The grind will score him good technical points. Right on the kink in the coping there. Great control. Still not looking as smooth as he was in the preliminaries though. Last night he seemed to be at his absolute brilliant best, and he's still showing 1 or 2 signs of nerves, perhaps the efforts of last night and the new maneuver that no one had ever done before, taking it out of him, and he's lost the board. Just inside the time, but the routine up until then was stunning from Tony Hawk, and it should be enough to give him the lead. Let's watch again. Grabs hold of the board, twists and turns, heaven knows how many times. That time he twisted the board through 360. And they're made of strong stuff, these boards. They need to be when they're put through that sort of punishment. He's taken the lead. Hawk in top spot where he will believe he needs to be, although he's a really nice guy, Tony Hawk, and he wouldn't care if somebody else won. He's here for the sheer fun of it. Let's see some more funky action. Just a little bit. Anyway, welcome back. Third round coming right up, and Tony Hawk leads ahead of Andy McDonald, Mike Frazier third, Brian Howard fourth, and Ben Pappas. There's McDonald. Does he really think he can beat the man he's never beaten before, Tony Hawk?
If you're put up against him, you just got to go for everything you got. Don't hold back anything. And sometimes you can fluke it.
Well, maybe it's a fluke that's required tonight for Andy McDonald. Crowd staying put, rooted to their seats. No one's going anywhere. This competition has got tension written all over it, and it's McDonald we'll see first, followed by Frazier, followed by Hawk. McDonald drops in and begins his routine. It looks like he's doing the same run as in his second run. Needs a high score because Hawk came back with breathtaking style in the second run and took the lead away from McDonald. McDonald, we heard him say before this run that maybe he'll get lucky and beat Tony Hawk. He's making the same mistake again of staying in the center of the ramp without drifting from side to side, which the judges like to see. They like to see the riders using all points of the ramp. Great stuff from McDonald. Oh, look at that. Perfect pinpoint timing. And the crowd are getting right behind him now. They were a little hushed before the start, but now they're roaring on his every move. The buzzer's gone. You can barely hear it above the roar of the supporters here. Come to see the X Games. You could call them Generation X. And Tony Hawk recognizing the brilliance of that run from Andy McDonald. Let's see the slow-mo. This was a kickflip, indie grab. The board flipping round. On the other side, you'll see that he spins the board and his body at the same time, catching up with the board in mid-air, landing and carrying on. He's taken the lead back. McDonald has the lead again. Pressure now falls to Tony Hawk, who will ride after we see the next man, Mike Frazier. Mike, remember, fell at the end of his second run. And you can hear the on-site announcer shouting for support for Frazier. It's a good start. Good air from Frazier. Good tricks, goes for the stiffy. Crowd not quite rising to him yet. He needs to pull something out. The crowd, of course, can have a huge influence over the judging panel, who are all skateboarders themselves. Oh, now he's beginning to fly. He's getting the rhythm. He's getting the flow. He's trying more difficult tricks than we saw from him earlier. And Frazier wants a medal. There's no doubt about that. Still, Tas Pappas to come as well in the final round. But all eyes will be on the man who follows Mike Frazier, Tony Hawk. Frazier slapping the board down hard, and that final trick he made, the extension may well count. He just seemed to get it right on the button. Good support from Mike Frazier. Enjoyed himself here. Let's see the slow-mo. Goes for this 360 varial. Pulls it off, nails that one well. Immediately on the other side, pulls this 180. Wonderful stuff from Mike Frazier. Score coming through for him now, and he's bumped Brian Howard out of third. He holds third for the moment. Still Hawk and one or two other potential medalists to come. The crowd now about to get what they've come for, with Andy McDonald watching on. It's time for Tony Hawk. McDonald, watching there, has never beaten Tony Hawk. He leads the competition. He led after round one. Hawk led after round two. McDonald leads again now, but Hawk hasn't been in round three. That's what he needs, 88-68 to win. It's possible. Hawk has been on great form. He's the defending champion, and here he goes. Look how he uses the entire width of the pipe, making sure he does a trick on every possible section of the vert, as it's called. The high points, the low points. What on earth was that? Couldn't tell you. It happened so quickly. Oh, and on the rear wheels of the board, he pops them up there, holds them still. The control is phenomenal. The action is such a crowd-pleasing thing. They're getting right behind Tony Hawk now. But it's a tough call. He needs the best score of the day so far to beat Andy McDonald. Andy McDonald's third round score of 89 was the highest score of the day. And I'm not sure that Hawk has done enough. The crowd seem to think so. The buzzer's gone. He's carrying on. He's a real crowd pleaser. Crushes down there. Won't worry about that. Tony Hawk on great form. McDonald applauds. But the big question is, has he done enough? He's chucked his helmet into the crowd. That'll make someone a nice souvenir from the 1996 X Games, right here on Eurosport. so much time. This was the one that I couldn't figure out. Well, I still can't figure it out. Who knows? It's good though. Oh, he's gone second. Hawk is beaten, and the crowd are hushed into a surprise sense of silence. But what that does mean is that Andy McDonald, for the first time, has beaten Tony Hawk. Tas Pappas rallying to take the bronze. Great performance. Hawk, the winner last year, settling for the silver medal this year. The gold to Andy McDonald. Can he believe it? Let's ask.
I'm just kind of shocked at like a first reaction, because not very many people have beat Tony Hawk, and I've been competing against him for 2 years, so it's kind of surprising. I'm excited, but I'm just kind of shocked.
I'm just happy that people finally recognize him for what he's doing, you know, because he kind of used to get burned in competition because people didn't really appreciate his style or his maneuvers, and he put it all together, and you know they finally took notice, so I'm happy for him.
Tony Hawk, a champion as a person, gracious in defeat. Don't move a muscle, we've got more after this. It's flat and then it drops down. Tony Hawk watching on. Second in this one last year. He's been second in the half pipe this year. Hasn't had a gold yet. Wants one here. He'll just have to wait his turn. Andy McDonald will be up next, the man who just won on the vert. And Chris Sen, last year's champion, has been unsuccessful with his last 3 tricks during this 1-minute routine. And that's another one. There's the buzzer. That's one to forget for Chris Sen.
That is run number 1. We give these skaters 2 runs. Look at Chris on the replay right here.
Went for the grab. Turned it round, went for the ramp transition as well. Landed that one okay, but I'm afraid that was one of the few tricks that Chris Sen got off pat. That was good, up on the soapbox, landing and holding the board between the 2 pairs of wheels. Up on the rail, he held it there, but then when the rail kinked and went downwards, he went downwards as well. Came to a stop and fell on his gut. Chris Sen goes third, 81.67. Let's have a quick look at the way the competition works out. 10 competitors, 60 seconds per run. That's not a shotgun on the right of your screen. This is America, but that is not a shotgun, it's the rail. Best of 2 runs, and if you want to know more about it, then I suggest you pay attention.
Skateboard Street, explain. It's a contest of man versus course, as skaters attack a layout of launch boxes, pyramids, and quarter pipes. Diversity is key, as the best routines will display grinds down the railings, ollies over the obstacles, and varials. Those are board spins. The judge's overall impression will determine the score, so it will take a smooth style, an aggressive attitude, and few or no stumbles to take home the prize.
So now you know. Next man to attack the street park will be Andy McDonald, gold medalist in the vert competition, the half pipe. He's got 60 seconds now to impress the judging panel through this maze of obstacles in the Rhode Island street park. Here we go. Over the jump box, performed that well. Up one ramp and down the other, and that's a ramp transition. He leaps and skates up one, takes air, lands on another. Look how he uses his feet to propel him along, and that gives you an idea of the evolution of the sport of skateboarding. It began with kids using scooters where the handle had broken off. Remember those scooters you used to have? Well, I have a little red one, it was. Triang, I think it was made by, and you used to scoot along with your foot and put one foot on it, and you used to think you were really cool. But eventually, with these old pieces of equipment, the handles broke off, so you were left with a scooter without any handle. And that is how skateboarding evolved. And during the 70s in the States, there was a whole mass of skate parks built. And when skateboarding eventually died a death before its renaissance, the country was littered with these deserted skate parks. It's now back, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere this time round. Andy McDonald looks a little disconsolate with that. Let's have a look at the slow-mo here. Up on the soapbox, and you'll see he shifts the board through 180 degrees, pops his feet back down, and off he goes again. This was a ramp transition, leaps off one, lands on top of another. Excellent control from the man who's already taken 1 gold medal and a healthy pay packet of $5,000 to go with it. Andy McDonald. He goes fourth, 81 dead, the score. Chance to improve on that later in his second run. And that's Tony Hawk, second in this competition last year. Let's see some action. It was our wheel camera. And if you believe that, you believe anything. There's Tony Hawk. And the on-site announcer getting the crowd really pumped up about the arrival of Tony Hawk. I wonder what he's got in store for them. Enjoys his skateboarding. For him, I think the winning is less important than the taking part, which is very refreshing. Going up onto the highest part of the ramp, twists at the top, does a 180, comes back down, leaps that part. Good speed from Tony Hawk. Holds his position at the top, up onto the soapbox. Oh, he's dropped his board. Just a couple of seconds lost, and he's got a whole minute, remember, to perform to his best. I won't be too disconsolate about that. Flipping the board over. Tony looking a little like he's out of energy now. Goes for the 180 and a ramp transfer as well. And there's the buzzer. Hawk's not finished yet. Up onto the rail and off again. Won't count. Buzzer had gone. 60 seconds up for Tony Hawk. McDonald applauding him. He is the main man in this sport. Let's have a look at the slow-mo for Hawk. It's a big jump. There's about 8 feet between those two ramps. A 180 there off that particular ramp. And this was after the buzzer had gone, when he briefly rode the rail, held it for a split second, but no matter, because that one will not count. Hawk looks happy enough with it though. He goes into a tie for 4th place, 81, a chance to improve on that. A little later, Willie Santos, next to go. Bronze medalist last year. And Willie Santos taking a slightly unusual way into the street park via the rail, and immediately launches himself into a kickflip, which is very much his speciality. Santos getting another kickflip there. Kickflip to a fakie, in fact. Ramp transfer, going from one to the other. Now he's coming off onto this jump box and goes along on the front wheels only. Kind of reverse wheelie. Ramp transfer again. Oh, and tries to ride along the coping of that jump box, fails, and he falls, loses time, loses speed, loses momentum, and almost certainly loses concentration. Another kickflip. That was a good one, changing the angle and landing on the diagonal, but Santos seems to have lost a little bit of his concentration. Buzzer sounding at the end of the 60-second routine. And an ungainly finish to what was an average sort of run for Willie Santos. Kickflip, transfer from one ramp to the other. That was the highlight really of the routine for Willie. Same again. Came up onto this jump box, and there's that beautiful display of control. Willie Santos goes third, 84.67, not as bad as I thought. Last year's bronze medalist in the same position at this stage in the competition. Rodil Di Arajo Jr. next to go. I've been practicing that name all day, Rodil Di Arajo Jr. And now I've practiced it, I intend saying it several times. He's from Brazil, and he was the only skater to score more than 90 points in the preliminaries. Everybody's been keeping a close eye on him and several others of the South Americans. Rodil, the Brazilian champion, going well here at the X Games. Formerly known as the Xtreme Games, the organisers decided to change the name to the X Games this year, thinking that X would fit in with a bigger variety of languages, claiming that it had nothing to do with the recent popularity of the X-Files or the fact that they could call everybody who takes part Generation X. We're not sure if we believe them, but it's good. X Games is okay. And Willie Santos, I beg your pardon, Rodil Di Arajo Jr. riding well down the handrail. He's having fun. He's got time left. He checks the clock, but just as he checks it, the buzzer goes. He's going for a final finale. Final swan song and another kickflip for Rodil Di Arajo Jr. from Brazil, who leads at the end of that round. Again, he's gone past 90 points, 90.33. His score's just come through. Chance to look back on some of his exploits during that first 60-second run. Fabulous control from the Brazilian, leaping right over the handrail, and on this occasion popping the board right on top of the end of it. He's happy with it, and well, he might be. He heads the table. The Brazilian on top of things in first place with that score. His second one over 90, the only man to go over 90. Brian Patch is second, and Eric Costin, Willie Santos, and Andy Reynolds down in fifth position. That's the way it stands here at Newport Yachting Centre, Rhode Island. Don't move a muscle, stay where you are. There's more coming your way.
Plasma Edge, the ski with the hardest steel edge of the world. Fisher, innovations for you.
The Freitastain Snow Track, the winter tire with silica. Reduces braking distance, improves traction. The Freitastain Snow Track. Freitastain, designed to protect you.
Das ist richtig geil, extrem lässig und mächtig cool. Das neue Coolsport von Sportbild. 164 Seiten Sportsatt. Alle Stars und Top-Stories. Von Fußball bis Funsport. Extra dazu 12 XXL-Poster plus 24 Sticker. Jetzt neu. Coolsport, das super Sonderheft von Sportbild. Hol's dir jetzt.